So Phoebe, your skin is stunning. I think it's really beautiful. I think it looks like glass skin, and I can't wait to hear how you achieve your tips in our exclusive interview inside the Lapre Beauty app. So make sure everyone you go and listen to that, because Phoebe, we just did a 15-minute private conversation inside the app. You're going to love her tips. I do want to talk about first that you have such a diverse cultural background. It's fascinating to me. And SnowFox Skincare is unique as it was inspired by both native Asian and Australian flora. So, can you first tell us more about growing up in Australia and how your journey back to Taiwan came and where you live today?
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I would I basically consider myself what we call a third culture kid, like a TCK. And basically what that is a child who grew up, like more than 2 degrees actually outside their parents' home culture. So you're not only exposed to one or two cultures, you're exposed to two and more, like three. So for me, it was like my parents being first generation immigrants in Australia. And then so I was born in Australia, in Sydney actually. And like when I was, I think 1 or 2, I actually moved to Indonesia. So,
Wow.
so like a lot of people immigrate like to a Western country from Asia. I did the opposite. I was born in a Western country and then like moved to a different Asian country. I went to an international school with a bunch of other nationalities. And the school actually was based on an American curriculum, which is why, that's like where I learned my English. And then when I was about 9 or 10, I moved back to Australia. So I kind of, it was like, 9 or 10 years old, you're kind of like smack bang in the middle of your development, right?
Right.
And then you move like from like this jungle like Southeast Asian country that is, so different. It's like so lush, so green, and it's just like a whole different culture. And then you move to like suburban Melbourne for like another 10 years, right?
Wow.
So that's actually how I picked up all these different elements of different, I think, um, parts of my identity, which you can actually see in SnowFox because people are like, are you guys like, what are you guys like? Where are you actually from? Like, because when you Google us and you look into our very, very beginning origin, right, you'll see us that like in Australian media. And then over time, you'll see us mainly in US media. We're in Japanese media and we're in Hong Kong media.
What?
So
Oh
they're
my.
like, where are you guys from? And that's literally because we've had such a wild ride. Like, when I started the brand, people think I started the brand, I don't know, like trying to, like being super ambitious, something like, oh, I'm gonna like spread to all parts of the world. I'm gonna be really honest with you. When I started the brand, I thought I was gonna sell only to clinics. I thought I was only gonna sell 3 items, for rosacea patients in those clinics. And I thought it was going to be me with a little bag, like a little briefcase, going to
Going
spas and
around.
salons, going, hey guys, do you have rosacea patients or sensitive skin patients? Here's stuff that works for them because I couldn't find, professional or non-professional lines at the time in Australia, that was potent, but then gentle enough to deal with my own skin, right? So what I didn't expect was like the brand snowballed organically so much over the years. We are now in Japan, Hong Kong, US. We're still in Australia, still selling in clinics, just not the way I thought it would be.
And I can hear some of your Australian accent too. It's funny because it comes and goes, and there's other accents too. It's all mixed in. It's really neat.
Yeah, it's like, I used to be really embarrassed by it because like I didn't know because people are like, it's right in the middle. Like it's right in the middle. It's not like heavy, but it's not like they can tell I'm not, you know, locally from the US, right? So unless I like really drop like the Australian side, right? But I think on top of all this, right, I'm multilingual. I speak more than 2 languages. So
Wow.
yeah, so when you speak multiple languages, um, in I think advanced form, I think your brain just doesn't deal with it very well. So you just sound like not 100% of any language. So if I speak, in Mandarin, right? So I live in Taiwan right now. So when I speak in Mandarin in Taiwan, they will immediately tell me, "Oh no, you grew up somewhere else.
Oh, real
Like
okay.
you're fluent, but you have an accent." And they usually tell me, "Are you American?" Because they're like, "We can hear it." And so yeah, it's just really interesting because being a third culture kid, it's literally what you are. You're always going to be like this a degree away from whatever culture you're trying to like, and it's good and bad. Like you fit in everywhere and then you don't. And so it's just you can see this in SnowFox, like in the identity. Like I think founders' identities actually bleed into their brand a lot, like whether we like it or not.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see this with SnowFox. Like we have a lot of Asian inspired formulations
Mhm.
with a TCM, a very strong TCM base. And then you have a lot of Australian ingredients like native floras. We use lily pilly, we use Australian snowflower, we use, kakadu plum, emu apple. So it's not really, for us, it's not really like, because I think, because I'm so like international, the brand does not have a distinct, I think, like nationality to it. We produce in Australia, Taiwan, Japan. Quite recently, we're making things in the US. So for us, it's not really like where the products are made. I wouldn't mind going to like the ends of the planet if it meant like if I could get my hands on really good quality materials and like good quality, production. So I think this is actually what makes SnowFox a little more unique because none of our formulations in our branding is tied to, you know, a place. So we're free. Like we can make anywhere. Like I know people love going, oh, K beauty, J beauty, I don't know, French beauty, American beauty, like, when your branding is like that, you actually limit yourself, I think, to certain things because then you don't want to look like, for example, if you're like a French beauty brand, you don't want to be making, a lot of your stuff in, for example, Japan, right? Because then people are like, so what are you? Are you French brand, but you're made in Japan? Like, how does that work and all that stuff, right?
I never thought about
Snowfox
that.
doesn't, yeah, like we don't have that limitation. I would make anywhere in the world that had amazing ingredients I could put my hands on. Like for me, the number one thing is actually formulation integrity and the quality of the ingredients, which is why we use a lot of rare things. So originally when we spoke about like, ingredients that people sleep on, right? Like in Latin, Spillantes acmeles, which is the Brazilian power crust, like that nature's Botox is so unique and it doesn't come from like, doesn't come from Australia. We source those from Latin America. And yeah, it's just such a good formulation. And we put it together with, in our bakucho blueberry oil with the astragalus root, which is a Chinese medicinal herb. So you have like, and then we put it in Belgian blueberry oil. So if you look at just the facial oil that we have, it's Belgian blueberry oil, organic, with, Brazilian power crust, with a Chinese medicinal herb. So
I want to try some of that.
yeah,
That sounds so lovely. I want to use that with my gua sha tonight and have a self-care, moment. That sounds wonderful. I love just the name of it too.
thank you. Yeah, so this is what I mean. Like I like to keep things, as like as mixed as possible. I think it's great. Like I don't, and this is like a lot of people they say to me like, "Hey Phoebe, brands should have a distinct identity or brand." And I get that. Like a lot of branding professionals actually told me they're like, "You guys are like, do you not care? Like you're just putting." And I told them I was like, "Yeah, we're basically, nature and science. We marry them holistically. And other than that, we don't care." Like I've actually told like people before, like I don't like I think it's great to celebrate like my Asian heritage and everything, but that should not be like the brand should not be pigeonholed, I think, by like my ethnicity. I'm a lot more than my ethnicity, right? What I do is a lot more than my ethnicity. My ethnicity, my like this should not be the number one thing when you look at my brand. Like you shouldn't I
Right,
think
you're
my
looking
brand should
for
be, yeah.
the best ingredients, for everything, and I
Yeah.
love that SnowFox does that. I was curious when you said when you were gonna go around with your suitcase and go to all the clinics, you're gonna have the 3 products. So, what 3 products were those that you felt that would help those clients with rosacea?
So it's still our best-selling range to date. It's our Arctic Breeze mask, so our cooling mask, and then our Omega Repair Cream, which is our daily moisturizer, fatty acid moisturizer, and then our cooling foam cleanser. So these 3 items are organic peppermint based, with aloe vera. So it's very soothing, very cooling. And the reason for that was because back in the day, this is like ages ago, we like there was not that many, I think, soothing, cooling items on the market that were completely natural. And what I mean by like completely natural is like completely clean.
Mhm.
So SnowFox is clean by necessity, and we're ultra clean. We're not like clean as in, 1 or 2 ingredients. Like I think the 1800 EU banned ingredient plus more.
Wow.
So yeah, and we're not clean because we decided one day we're going to be clean because that's the trend. We were clean from the beginning because most of the things are not good for rosacea. Like we don't use fragrance at all. We don't add extra fragrance. We don't use synthetic perfumes or anything because that stuff is not good for people with rosacea. We don't use anything that would burn or, compromise skin barrier because most of the time with rosacea, your barrier is not great anyway. Like, you actually need to do the opposite, which is barrier support. And if you look into all of our skincare products, you'll see that like most of it is barrier support, barrier, recovery, and really looking at regenerating or renormalizing the skin. And yeah, so those 3 were my original heroes. And I just thought, I was going to be this girl with a briefcase. And then, I even did my math. I was like, if I sell it to 50 spas, or salons or clinics or like 50 to 100, I would be like, you know, I would make enough to go and like chill by the beach.
Such an entrepreneur, like, "This is my numbers. This is what I need to make."
Yeah, I was just really, I was in my mid to late 20s. I think I was in my late 20s, and I had just left corporate. And I was like, yeah, all I want to do now is relax. And then, yeah, for some reason, naive as I was, I thought running your own business would be relaxing.
No,
So I had these, yeah,
no.
I was so dumb.
I
I was like,
I
I'm gonna relax.
yeah, I thought owning my own spa and was gonna be, yeah, I could sit back a little bit and relax. No, I've never worked so
Yeah,
hard in my
yeah,
life.
yeah, exactly. Like we did that. We all did that. Like all of us did that. All the entrepreneurs have done that. We're like, if I did this myself, I could chill. I don't have to work so hard. I could totally chill. And then later you're like, oh, now I just work forever. Like,
Yeah, now it's just twice as much. A lot of
yeah.
people may not know this about SnowFox. I'm going to hold up. This is how I heard about SnowFox. Okay, I'm holding up. This is on YouTube, so if you want to see it. But also, I'm going to tell Phoebe. I'm going to give her a little surprise. I'm also going to review this. I'm holding up her Gua Sha brush. I'm going to review this inside Le Pre Beauty. So I'm going to show you how to use it inside the app, and I'm going to also explain a little bit more about it in detail. So I'll have that coming up. So make sure to download the app. So you're going to hear all about Phoebe, and you're going to see me demonstrate this inside the app. So make sure you look in there. So this
So,
brush, yeah. So I thought I'd treat you with that. But I love it that much, and this brush gives me such relaxation at the end of the night too. It's like a part of my routine. It's beautiful, by the way. It also fits with my aesthetics. I appreciate the gold and the white. I love it. It's not meant to be used, as we talked before, as an actual hairbrush. So I think I want to make sure that they know this isn't like a typical hairbrush. This is a Gua Sha brush. And I would love for you to explain a little bit about the brush, and how it's made, what it does, how people should use it. And I'll let you talk about that. And I did want to just show really quickly, I love how you can take it with you, and it has a little carrier bag too. So you can make sure that the bristles remain just intact, because they're very special, these bristles. This is a handmade brush, and Phoebe's going to talk about it, but the way it's made is fascinating to me.
Yeah, so thank you so much for, for the love. We really appreciate it, and it's such a meaningful item actually. Like many of the things in my life, I didn't start it off like I came across the gua sha brush myself after dealing with super bad postpartum hair loss. I was also dealing with post-COVID hair loss, like all at once. So I had my second baby and COVID.
And your rosacea. It's like, give
Yeah,
me a break.
it was not good. Yes. Like I was like my skin look was looking better, but my hair was not. Like I was like my skin's looking great. And you can actually see this, I think. I've posted some of it and like literally I've just have like just you know, it was so bad. So you can actually still see, I think, like you can see this part is still pretty thin. Like this is all the part that is like, growing back, but
It takes a while.
this part was like empty. Like it was just so thin. And I think a lot of women also struggle with the same thing postpartum. It's like this area, these two, like on the temples, and it's just
I'm
overall,
still, yes, I'm doing the brush, a serum,
yeah.
and I just got an LED mask too. And it's right here. Yep.
Yeah, it's so common, like this part that just goes up and it's just, was coming out in clumps and everything. And so I actually came across it while living in Taiwan, and I went to a really local traditional hair salon, and they were washing my hair and it was coming out in clumps. And there was this old lady who does, they're so like traditional that, when they scrub your hair, they still like tell you straight up. They're like, "Oh, your hair, it's falling apart. What are you doing?" And, and so this old lady, she's like really lovely, and she's telling me, "Well, your hair is horrible. You're bald." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And she's like, "You need to gua sha your scalp." And I'm like, "Oh, I mean, I gua sha my face." She's like, "It's not going to do anything." I was like, "Okay." She's like, "It's not going to do anything for your scalp." She's like, "You gua sha your face." She's like, "That's lovely, but you're gonna have no hair." And I was like, "So what do you want me to do?" She's like, "You need to gua sha your scalp." I was like, "With my gua sha?" She's like, "No, with the gua sha brush." And then she's like, "You ABCs," and that's like basically foreign born Asian. She's like, "You foreign born." She's like,
She sounds
you
like a
you
nice,
little,
lovely lady.
yeah, yeah, she is. No, this is just like old, like
Yes.
old
They're
lovely
just
grandma ladies. Like
they're just
they will
direct.
straight up tell you the truth. Like she's like, "Oh, you foreign born." She's like, "You don't know this, but we have this here." She's like, "You come find your roots." She's like, "You come back to your roots. Like this is, gua sha is part of like the roots of our culture." And gua sha brushing is really common in her generation. So she's like, "You need to find a gua sha brush." And I'm like, "What gua sha brush?" She's like, "Get a gua sha brush." I was like a gua sha for my head? She's like, "Yeah, it's like that, but it's a brush, so you don't need to mess with it. Like, it's much easier." So she gives me a card, and the card actually goes, it's these artists, and she's like, "These are the artists who make them. Contact them. Go get a brush made. Get a brush." She's like, "You really need one because you're balding." I was like, "Okay, fine." So I go, and I'm kind of skeptical. I'm like, is gua shaing my scalp with a brush going to really work, right? So I contact these guys, and the first time they give me a very traditional gua sha brush, it looks like an S&M tool. Like it's a paddle with like massive spikes on it. And I'm like, I don't want to use this on my head. Like this looks like it's gonna hurt. And to be honest, when they first gave it to me, like it hurt. I was like, this is not fun. I don't really want to use this. They were like, "No, no, okay, like foreign born, like you need to use this daily, or else you're not going to grow your hair back." And they told me, they're like, "Just try it and see for yourself." So I used the original version, which was like a whole paddle. Like it was a bulky, super crazy looking thing, very heavy. And I start noticing baby hairs like within 2, 3 weeks. And
Two or
I'm like,
three
"Nah, this
weeks?
Yeah, for me, it was
Wow.
really quick. And I thought I was going crazy, so I was gaslighting myself. I was like, no, this can't be real. Like, I'm going nuts. And then over the course of like 2 months, like, it was so much baby hair that it was just spiky. And I was like, no, something is happening. Like, it's happening. So I go back to the brush artists and I'm like, I really don't like this paddle. I'm a designer. Can I work with you guys to design my own version? And they were looking at me and they were like, you're foreign born, so obviously your scalp can't take like the super big paddle version. I was like, no, I don't think I can take the super big. Like it really, like it's so intense, it's too much for me. So they're like, you know what? Okay, why don't you design it? We'll make it. So that was literally the beginning of that brush on your hand. So I wanted to make a thermoplastic version, which they hated. They did not want to make a plastic version. To them, plastic was an affront to nature. Like they thought plastic was awful. But I insisted on thermoplastic at the time because I wanted something more durable, lightweight, water resistant,
Okay, water
and it had
resistant.
a rubber grip. Yeah. So the brush that you're holding, that was my very first fusion design. Softer, not like 500 needles, looking like a S&M paddle. Like it was just so much more petite and softer, and it, has elements of both, like the SnowFox branding, as well as like we kept all the cultural traditional elements, the golden needles.
Mhm.
And, I did ask them like, why gold? Like seriously, in this economy, like why do you need to plate it in gold? And they explained, they said, if you do not let us plate it in gold, we are not making this for you because an authentic Gua Sha brush has to be 24K gold plated. There's no cheating. The reason for this is because number one, it's gold is considered the highest value, most precious clean metal in Chinese medicine. It's actually an element of Chinese medicine. And, you know, besides like the Chinese, medicinal ideology behind it, it's actually just a very hypoallergenic metal. So when you're scraping against your scalp daily, you don't want like a trash metal. You don't want microplastics. You don't want things that are not
Yeah,
just
true.
getting into, especially with scraping, right? Because scraping is not like combing. Scraping is literally running along all the acupressure points, right? The meridian lines across your cranium.
Hmm.
And for like our gua sha artists who specialize in reflexology and have a really deep understanding of fascia, the scalp's tension points and, like what they call the bai hui point, which sits on top of the scalp. And in many Asian cultures, you'll see this like sacred belief about this area of the head. So in some Asian cultures, it's extremely rude for you to touch them on their head, right? Because they consider it such a personal, sacred area, like this area. Like you would never do it to like an older person. Like you would never just go and touch
Like
them on the top of their
pat him
heads
on the
because they
head.
would first smack you, right? Like what are you doing? But that's actually
I
rooted
think I
in the
would do
belief.
that in, here too in the States. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, like not even like play fighting or whatever. Like they're just like don't touch. Like this is and like in in the practice of qi, right? In qigong, like energy healing and whatnot. Like this area again, it's just so sacred. So when you're gua shaing this part, they insist on using the highest purity and quality of gold. And that is why we've kept that element. It's because when I worked with our artists, they had full right to basically advise me on how the design should look.
Hmm.
So everything that you see in your hand is basically approved by that.
It's
Because
beautiful.
yeah, like there's a deep respect that I have for artists. They are very old.
Now, I want to go over when you look at the brush, there is a hole in the brush. Could you explain what that is?
So that's an air hole, and that is made by cooking a pin by hand, and then they burn the hole through the natural rubber base by hand. So that is not even a hole made by machine. They have to basically not boil, but like heat up a needle, which is like they heat it up by hand and then they burn the hole through. And I actually asked them, I was like, that is insane. Like, why can't you just use a machine? They were like, no, we've done this like this since we were 18
Hmm.
for the last 40 years. So we want to make the air hole by hand because, we just have a process. Like, this is our process. The rubber that you have there, it's also not machine. It's not like the rubber is hand blended and then
Oh,
run through a machine. And there's footage of it actually. If you go on SnowFox's IG, you can actually see we filmed this. Like we filmed the artists cutting each pad out, like feeding it through the cutter. They blend Brazilian rubber. They chose Brazilian because Brazilian rubber is the premium quality rubber, which is why if you smell it, it smells like a nice leather goods store.
oh,
Like it doesn't have that
I've never done
stinky
that before. Yeah,
fake.
I've never smelled it
Yeah,
before.
yeah. Like people tell me, they're like, "Oh, it smells nice." I don't know, it smells fancy. I'm like, it smells fancy because it's the same smell as if you walked into like a nice Gucci store. It's like that high quality natural rubber. Like, most of the rubber nowadays that you get, especially on those plastic brushes, those are synthetic rubber. That is not natural rubber. Natural rubber is much more expensive and it doesn't have that stink. I don't know how to explain it. Like we did try synthetic rubber. I hated it. And my artists refused to use it. They're like, we don't want this. This is ugly. And so yeah, that's why we use natural rubber base. We hand burn the air hole in there. There's 151 gold plated needles, and gua sha needles are not like, you know, any random needles. Number one, those needles are actually put through river stones for polishing. So they polish them with river stones like they did 1,500 years ago, each one.
It should be like
On
a
top of that,
$500 brush, Phoebe. I'm like,
I
oh
know,
my goodness.
I know. And the people are like abusing us online, like, this is really expensive. You guys are a gimmick. Um, so I'm like, okay, like if only you guys could see the craftsmanship that goes into it. And not only that, like we don't have that many artists left. Like our youngest artist is like 60 something. Our oldest artist he's 86. Like, he's like we don't have apprentices. I don't know how long we're going to be producing authentic gua sha brushes. I really don't. Like I don't know, especially the wooden ones. The wooden ones are even more special because they are hand carved by, woods craftsmen that have been carving for a minimum of 20 years. And they still use an open blade. So every single wooden gua sha brush comes from a solid plank like of wood. It's not a plant. It's not like a wood mulch. It's not molded. It's still hand carved from one piece of solid wood. So every brush is one piece of wood. Like there's no
Oh my
cheating.
goodness. Everybody
So
needs to stock up now before there are no more. I'm serious. I think I'm gonna buy like a
yeah.
backup. I'm
So
like scared if I won't have it. And now you're doing minis. You're doing little minis now.
yeah, it's like there's so much history and so much story. There's so much blood and sweat and love behind each and every single piece. Like and I didn't do it for money. Like people are like, oh, I'll be honest with you. I took the gua sha brushes to the US for the very first time to a show in New York in 2023, last year. And it was not great. Like people thought it looked super weird. Nobody had any idea what it did. And it was not popular. Like people were like, what is this? And they kind of just we couldn't, we couldn't really get any good feedback for it.
Really? When I saw it, I wanted it like immediately. I was like, "Oh, what is that? Gua Sha Brush?" And sold, purchased, and then it contacted you. I was like, "This is so exciting."
Like honestly, I'll be really like I don't know why. Like 1 year ago, it was weird and I don't know, too weird for most people. They didn't know what. There's just a hedgehog looking gold brush that was $98. People were like, we don't get it. And thankfully one journalist, literally one media
Hmm.
writer, and I need to thank her for this. Um, she like out of all the people that I pitched, right, most of them just didn't get back to me. She was the only one who said to me, Phoebe, this is really cool. Like, let me do a story on it. Let me write about its background and its history. and then she published it, and it went viral. Like if it wasn't for her, I think Gua Sha things, Gua Sha brushes would be like a thing of the past because my elderly artists, they were telling me, they're like, we are the last, like we're the last, like there's that's it, like after we're done, like this is it, because nobody wants to do this. There are no young people who want to make this kind of thing because we are really strict. We still have the master apprentice type of culture. You work with an open blade. It is a tough job. Like you sit
Mm.
in a wood workshop and just blade away each day. It's not an easy thing to do by all means, right? And obviously we work with our artists to maintain a sustainable, fair livelihood. They have all the input into pricing, and in the beginning they wanted to price it more. Actually, they said to me like, no, we want $300 for a brush. And I told them, I was like, look, I'll give you the volume, but realistically, $300 for a brush is really tough for many people, especially if they're not used, like if they're new to gua sha brushes, right? So, I worked with them and I said, trust me, like I'll do my best. I'll go with my luggage full of gua sha brushes. I'll go to New York. I will take this and I will show this culture to the world, and hopefully someone is going to like it. And so that's what I did. After we designed our first fusion brush, they insisted that we make a wood version. And I'm so glad I listened to them because at first I was like, oh my God, the wood version is going to be even more expensive. It's 100, it's like, and they were like, yeah, it's $120, right? It's 118, $20. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get so abused online. And we do, like our ads get a lot of people going, oh, you guys are me. So yeah, like I took them both, went to New York. It was tough, like first introducing it to people. And look at us now. Like we have so many versions, and I'm happy to say that we have booked out production for the next year. Like I've booked them out for the rest of the year. They are so happy, and actually we are updating, and you can see this on our IG. We filmed them an update a second time, and they just, you don't have to listen to me, listen to them. Like we will put subtitles on what they say.
I watch all their stories. It is fascinating. Go to SnowFox Skincare, their IG, and watch the elders make the brushes, and you listen to the rubber. You're watching the rubber guy like do the squares and cut everything out. I mean, I watched all of that, and I absolutely loved it. I had a question about how to use it. So again, you're not going to use this like a normal brush. So I actually typically brush my hair out first, and then I use this. How many, I mean, is there like a certain amount of strokes that you need to do or minutes each night, or what do you normally do?
So start from the top of your hairline, basically, here where your hair meets your face, and then one sweep motion all the way to the back to the base of your skull. You want that sweeping consistency because what you want to do is, especially with the larger brush, the one that you're holding in your hand, that one is designed actually to have longer, thinner needles. And the intensity level for stimulation is a lot higher. And it is a very sensory tool. Like it's a sensory experience. So you go from the tip here and then you just keep scraping all the way back here. And basically you stop at the end of the hairline at the base of your skull.
Okay.
And then you do this and make sure you don't miss like any spots, right? And you do this at least, I would say, just consistently 1 to 2 minutes is enough.
Okay.
As long as you feel like this tingling, and you'll know, like you will know, like for everyone it's slightly different, but you will know when you feel the circulation, the tingling, that's all normal. Like that is what you want. So when you get that sensorial experience, it's the circulation boost, it is the tension release, and it is basically the scalp getting the stimulations across the acupressure point lines that you're supposed to be getting. It shouldn't hurt. If you're pressing down too much, it will hurt. So it should not hurt. It should feel very comfortable. Some people still tell me, "Oh, it's too much." It's like, I get like shivers. You know, if they get
I
shivers, then
love
it's
it.
too much. Yeah,
I love it.
I think we have like two types of clients. We have the clients that are like, I love this, right? Like they're like, give me all the sensory. And then you have clients that are really sensitive sensorially. So they're like, I want something softer. If they want something softer, the little mini heart brush has shorter, thicker needles. that are not as stimulating. They're more gentle, right? So I always tell people if your number one goal is like hair recovery, then the big brush is better because it is more stimulation. The more stimulation, the better for the hair follicles, and then you're gonna see that result with the hair recovery. So if you have thinning hair, you have a lot of excessive hair fall, and hair density is your number one goal, then use the big one. The wood or the plastic one is fine. If you kind of just want to have like some hair recovery and a lightweight, easy item to bring with you for travel, and you just want that like scalp massage and reflexology,
Right.
then you can use the small heart brush. Like that one is just gentler. It's not going to give you that, that same. But with the heart brush, actually, when you press it in more because it's smaller, you can also still increase the intensity if you want of the massage. But that sensory scraping is not the same as the big brush. So that is the two differences.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that because I did not know that. Okay, so everybody needs to go get their brush now. And then while you're purchasing that on SnowFox Skincare, and I also wanted to just share this about SnowFox. So there's no fragrances, there's all of the great natural ingredients. Also, you guys have an amazing sustainable packaging. I mean, I did my research on here and I thought, wow, it just gets better and better. Like your earth values, your cruelty free, no harsh chemicals, ocean safe. I mean, it's just amazing. What line so if somebody is going onto SnowFox today for the first time, what do you recommend that they try first? What's your like star product?
So it's kind of tough because it depends on, their skin, right? So, but I actually have it right here, and this is what we took to the show, but this will be online really, really soon.
Oh, what is that?
So that is our EGF orb. It's a freeze-dried, basically ultra concentrated orb of epidermal growth factor,
Oh,
pressed
wow.
pressed into biofermented Italian hyaluronic acid.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, and it also has five types of has a couple of yeah, I think five types of ceramides as well, and madecosside, which is a good soothing ingredient, again from Sika. And so it's basically ultra concentrated, no liquid um, shot of nutrients. So just FYI, the EGFs are vegan. So before everyone jumps on me, these are not from penises. I get it. Originally, epidermal growth factors were extracted from foreskins. We don't do that anymore. Epidermal growth factors, these ones are from barley. So they're vegan. So I just want everyone know that these are
A lot
totally
of people
vegan.
probably don't know that because when I first started on my journey with the company, they had the real growth factors, and it was from the baby's foreskin. I mean, obviously,
Foreskin.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It obviously was so anyway, and so now a lot of vegan, yeah, growth factors are, but that is amazing. I think that would be so wonderful to derma roll with or do microneedling. Oh my goodness.
So we used to have a glass jar that was like clinical grade, but the problem was that the glass jar was we were actually mainly selling it to clinics as a professional treatment. But SnowFox customers, I'll tell you, like my clients are super duper smart and savvy. Like they're very sophisticated. So in like no time they figured out like if I get one of these orbs like consumer base and buy it and take it home and use it, I'm saving like a ridiculous amount of money because an EGF Hollywood facial is 600 US dollars, right? In a spa. These like single shots, like a pack of 5 will run about $52 a month, right? So your EGFs are much, more valuable and like so this looks like a little milk capsule, but when you pop it open, you'll see like a little freeze dried orb. So you know what? I'm actually going to open it because I need one for tonight. And so we upgraded it to this safe packaging. It's still airtight. It is recyclable, so don't worry. It took us a long time to find a recyclable version. Yes, they're one-time use. The reason why they're one-time use is because we can't have contamination, and also if you open it, you have to use it. EGFs are really fragile. If you want that efficacy, if you want that potency, you know, with without diluting it with a bunch of preservatives or liquid, then you want it to be airtight and single packed, right? And so that's what it looks like. I'm just gonna burp. That's what it looks like.
And you can find this on YouTube if you would like to see this as well. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cute. It's tiny. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like a little snowball. And
It does
basically
look
you
like a little
reconstitute it.
snowball. That's cute.
Yes, a little snowball. And you see, like, it's already sticking on my hand because this is how fast it tries to absorb. Like, you know,
Wow.
yeah, like this is like even, So when you open it, please use it immediately. But we have we are launching three versions of these freeze-dried hyaluronic acid shots, like orbs. The first one will have EGF. And to answer your question, I think the first thing you should try is the cucumber serum with one of our orbs, the EGF orb, and then a sheet mask. So how you do it is you take an orb, you mix it with the serum until it's like, even. Apply it to clean, dry skin up to the neck, and you'll notice that it absorbs like once it absorbs, you put the SnowFox sheet mask on for 20 minutes and then take it off. Then you're gonna see what $600 worth of facial looks like.
That sounds like glass skin to me. The way you presented that, I was like, that sounds amazing.
Like, please do try. I'm gonna send you some. Please do try because, like, I think we've had customers tell us like, okay, this is skincare. Like, this is good skincare. I'm like, yes, because yeah, again, I wanted something affordable, something safe to use at home. And I know microneedling is popular. Why doesn't SnowFox have like a microneedling set? It's because honestly, for us, we prefer non-invasive techniques. And we think that if you're going to do something invasive with the skin, and because you're a professional, you know what you're doing. But a lot of consumers who try to microneedle at home, are they sanitizing their microneedles properly? Things like that. I think microneedling should be left to professionals. I think it's best done at someone like at one of like with somebody like you, right, who is trained, who knows how to sanitize these equipment properly. So,
Yeah,
leave it
you
to the
have to
professionals. Yeah,
sanitize. You have to I even sterilize my derma rollers. So I do, I know they say just spray with alcohol, but I do alcohol spray. Then I do a denture tablet and I let it set in the denture tablet. Then I put it in a sterilizer and I have it sterilized. So I'm like, I'm not messing around with that. A lot of
exactly. And
people,
then this
you
is
have
why.
to do that. You have to do that.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. Like, leave the derma rolling to your esthetician because they know what they're doing. So I'm not a huge fan of like, these people are selling these online, like on Facebook, like these at home micro needling sets, and I think it's like I don't know. I feel like this is why we prefer non-invasive. Like, if you use the orb at home without a microneedle, it's good enough. Like, and if you use it in a spa setting, like for example, someone like you who is trained knows exactly what they're doing. It's also great with a microneedling, session.
And how many times a week? Just once a week with that? Or how many would you recommend?
So you can use it daily if you're like rich,
Yeah. I was about to say
but
5 is $55. So I was trying to like space it out like once a week at least.
yeah, once a week is fine. Like, I think for most people, once a week is more than enough. Like, if you have really stressed out dry skin or a massive breakout, I think 2 to 3 times is a lot. If you're like, I need to recover from something fast, then yeah, do it 2, 3 days in a row. Twice a week is a lot, but I'm not gonna lie, I have some customers who buy 30 orbs from me per month. I know that they're using it daily. They're just, they can afford it, They're
Yeah.
just,
I can't imagine what their skin
they're
looks
like,
like.
yeah, I'm gonna do this. So I think
Oh,
yeah, good for them, right? Like,
yeah, good for them. That is so exciting. Yes, please send me some. I'm so excited to try that. Everyone, Phoebe has been so generous and she's given you guys a code. And I'm going to list that code in the show notes. Whatever platform you're listening to, you're going to find them. And you can find Phoebe at SnowFox Skincare on Instagram. And is there anything else that you would like to share about SnowFox besides it's just amazing? I'm so excited I found this brand and that I was able to have this wonderful conversation with you and to learn more about SnowFox.
No, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. We are still a female-founded, self-funded, independent brand. After all these years,
That's amazing.
I'm not a founder run by like speed of growth. I started this brand because yeah, I truly love what I do, and I really do care for delivering the best to to our community. So I just wanted to thank everyone, and if you've been following us, or if you're new to us, come check us out. But if you've been following us and me, I just wanted to really thank you.
Absolutely. And I encourage y'all to look at those stories online and follow Phoebe. And I follow her personal Instagram because I love to watch her travel. Like living through you vicariously, watching your travel videos and all it's her stories are pretty exciting. I really like them. They're fun. And I also like to see
Thank you.
the mom life part, because it's just real. Like a lot of us are busy working moms, but we still want to look good and feel good about ourselves. And thank you, Phoebe, for you are a busy mom and like just hearing your story and just like, wow. And she just got back from a show. So she literally traveled 24 hours just to get to the States, do a show, and was back with her. Like you're leaving your family for that when you're going to New York. I mean, it's a lot. And I just appreciate that as a mom. Just your hustle to get out there and wow, to take the chance to go to New York and talk to the press and like then being able to bring products that could help people with hair loss and with their skin and people with sensitive skin and rosacea. So a special thank you for just doing that and persevering
Thank
because I
you.
know it's tough.
Yeah, I
I know
mean,
it's
it
tough.
was yeah. A big thing is also to preserve this cultural art form for the next generation. Like I would like a big part of my motivation with the Gua Sha brushes, it was not money because yeah, our artists are going to age out. Like I don't know how long we're gonna keep this up. So actually it's a terrible business model because like what kind of supply chain like literally ages out? And FYI, there's a whole bunch of pirated copies of what we do. If you see like what is claiming to be a gua sha brush, that isn't in gold and it's like $10, $20, I don't know, $30, and it looks kind of similar, but it's not. Please, understand that yes, it's like a saving, but it's like this is a cultural art form that we're trying to preserve. We give our artists, fair wages, a livelihood. This is why our brushes are not 5, $10. People are like, oh, I can get this like, $10 on Temu. But that's not good for artists. Like we live in the world of overconsumption and fast everything, right? Like the gua sha brushes are the absolute opposite, and I really hope we can push through these challenges. Like I just hope people honor our artists the way we do.
Well, I was happy to, and I'm ready to buy another one because I'm scared that you're going to run out. So I'm like, I want another one. It's a great gift to give someone too. And you also have to think about the gold plated and what you're scraping your scalp with, and you just want to make sure that you have like the finest ingredients and things that are, you know, more natural. So I always think of that too. So yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much,
Thank you,
for
Phoebe. It's been
sharing.
a pleasure. Thank you again. Okay, my skin friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may want to change their skin without all of the overwhelming confusion? And before you go, I would love to send you my free 48-hour skin makeover as a gift. All you have to do is leave your review on the podcast because it really supports the growth of the show. This is my 48-hour skincare makeover guide where I will show you all of my best tips to transform your skin quickly. Perfect for when you need to look amazing in a short amount of time. All you have to do is leave your review on the podcast, take a screenshot, and then head over to lindsayholder.com/review to upload it. And then you will get instant access to the 48-hour skincare makeover guide. Again, head to lindsayholder.com/review to upload your screenshot and get access. I am so grateful for all of your support and cannot wait to hear how the podcast has supported you. Now, time to grab your favorite skincare mask and have some TLC time for yourself. I'll meet you back here on Tuesday for another episode. Until next time.